Hi guys, it's Z and Sin, and today we are reacting to Did the British Invent and Discover Almost Everything? Let's watch it.
Guys, I don't know what Sin just said. I swear to you.
What did I say?
Did the British invent and discovered almost
What did I
everything?
say?
The way you said it, my ears here. Blah, 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 blah,
Oh.
blah, 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 blah. Let's go.
Let's go. We're ready.
Let's get into this video, guys. Here we go now. Because Sin on a roll. She must be drunk.
What did the British, ever do for us scientifically? Nowadays, our education system regards the British as brutal colonists who enslaved populations, subjugated the world. Out of roughly 200 countries in the world today, the Brits colonized, settled, or invaded about 90% of them, which I think is fairly impressive, or at least I think the Romans would think it was impressive. But would we have been better off without those bastard Brits? Now, as it happens, they may have some redeeming features. If you look at their scientific contribution, at least. Now, this is a slightly different video to normal, and I'm going to talk about the British scientific and technological achievements and inventions, even though I could mention trivial things like the British invention of some of the best countries in the world, like Australia, Canada, Singapore, New Zealand, America. Well, maybe.
Did you know that they invented all that? Well,
I know about the US and Canada, but not about Australia and Singapore. That's new to me. I'm not gonna lie.
there you have it. She didn't know.
Mhm.
And don't come for us, because I wasn't
No.
when I did this video, I didn't know. I knew Australia.
You know Australia?
Yes.
I didn't know
Because
Australia.
they used to send, let me not tell you. We're going to watch that video.
Okay.
I learning and all the girl learn and know enough, but I can't tell her. She got to.
Maybe not invented, but
But
they
yeah.
were certainly highly
Interesting.
influenced. Or even the only decent country in the Middle East, which is Israel, courtesy of Mr. Balfour, and many other countries that have a great deal to be proud of, such as Malaya, South Africa,
There's a lot.
Fiji, Kenya, Botswana, Sri Lanka, India, all wonderful British creations. But we're a science channel, and we're going to look at science. Now, the list is long
You can imagine.
of scientific achievements, and I'm only going to look at the really big ones and some of the more important ones. Let's start.
British inventions, baby.
Let's start with transport and engines. So the British invented the railways, steel tracks, railway locomotives. In fact, wherever the British went, railways followed. So they put in railways in Germany, India, South America, and of course everybody copied that. Then we have the modern bicycle, initially called the Rover safety bicycle, apparently. Chain drive, caster steering, and relatively small wheels, invented by the Rover company. In fact, in Poland, the word for bicycle is Rover. And yes, it's the same company that makes Land Rovers. Now the British are...
It click. What is it? The same company that makes Land Rover, the motor vehicle. So I did not know they invented the bicycle.
I did not know that too.
And then it's crazy because you always hear negative stuff about Britain. You always hear the negative, the slave, and you understand, and how much wars and how much chaos they cause and how much, but you never really stop to think that with all their invasions, they have improved wherever they have invaded, meaning the countries that they went to, and their inventions. Because the train, come on, if it wasn't for them and having trains in every spot that they invaded, it wouldn't be that widespread when you stop to think about it. Make it make sense, people. You have to give somewhere.
Obviously invented the first engines, which was the steam engine, and that broke us free from back-breaking animal and human-powered devices. Now, while the British were inventing the steam engine, they, of course, had to invent the piston. And more importantly, the piston ring that seals the piston, a truly remarkable technological invention, which is even now being developed further. And the piston ring is the basis for petrol engines and diesel engines. In fact, virtually every engine. So no Brits, no engines. Next, they invented the first engine-powered ships, obviously steam-powered.
Yep.
Ships' propellers, steel ships, the steam turbine, initially for powering ships, but now it powers the generators in every coal electricity generating plant and every nuclear
That's a shocking
generating plant. So that's about 50% of all the electricity that's generated today, all courtesy of Mr. Parsons.
Wow.
Then we have the jet engine. Yes, the Germans independently invented it in the Second World War. The turboprop engine invented by the Brits, the first turboprop aircraft. So if you don't fly in an airplane powered by a jet engine, which was largely due to the Brits, it's a turboprop airplane, which was invented by the Brits. And of course, the turboprop is the basis of the gas turbine, which is used to generate another 20% of the world's electricity. We also have the modern car layout, front drive, transverse engine, independent suspension, CV joints on the front wheels. Before that, companies tried all sorts of arrangements. So, for example, the Germans famously had the engine and everything at the back. But since 1959, most cars use the mini minor equivalent.
Can you believe that?
Yeah.
The engine was in the back. I'm like,
and the
in
truck
the
in the
back,
front, like
in the back, like engine in the back. Just thinking about it, now that you know you're so used to it in the front. I'm like, the back.
That's weird.
You feel like the car would be going backwards. I'm sorry, it just seemed that way.
And just like the brain in the sense of a vehicle, like having it in the back, like how does like the windshield functions, like how does there like the lights, like it's weird.
Yeah, when you think about it that way.
Yeah.
Interesting. But this is a lot of, even the piston that fires and shoots for that vehicle to move the way it is. It does. The engine and the pertaining to electricity, you gotta give props or a respect where it is due. You have to what is due unto Caesar, give it unto Caesar. Because 3/4 of this stuff I did not know it was invented by the Brits. I swear to you.
Ever been on a vehicle that uses steel wheels? Pretty uncomfortable. But don't worry, the Brits invented the pneumatic tyre. So it looks like the British have invented pretty much everything that runs on the road. They didn't invent the road, that's just about it. Well, actually, they did. Tarmac roads, or tarmacadam, was invented by a Scot and a Welshman. Then we have steel bridges. And here's a very interesting one, the modern traffic roundabout in the 1960s. Now, you might think that roundabouts have been around since way before the 1960s.
That is one thing I know about London. There's a bunch of roundabouts.
Have you ever been?
No, I've seen the videos. They have a bunch of roundabouts.
Listen,
that's one thing I know for sure.
I hear a lot of people complain about the roundabout.
A bunch of roundabouts.
But I am so happy, even though we drive on a different side of the road here. Honestly, I am happy because I know how to navigate a roundabout here. At first, I was scared as they come.
Me too.
I was but now I'm like, baby, you can't hold me. I'm like, I'm like, and in Jamaica, I used to be scared of roundabouts.
You have roundabouts in Jamaica?
Oh, we sure do.
Oh, wow.
But I didn't know. One of my major issues when we were in Jamaica, not me, I didn't really drive much there because I was just, it's another level of driving. But I couldn't comprehend when I'm in the roundabout where to turn off to go where I'm going. And that's why I was panicking when I got here and I saw the roundabouts. I'm like, okay, which one turn off? Where does which one leads me? And it's like I couldn't wrap my mind around it. I'm like, okay, I'm in here. Where am I supposed to go?
Yeah.
But now, you can't talk to me. I love roundabouts. Because everybody have to learn to wait.
Yes, I like roundabouts.
So with them, they said the stoplight in their roundabout. We don't necessarily have stoplight in our roundabout. So you have to give the right of way to anybody in the roundabout.
Exactly.
You have to wait.
You have to yield.
I love it.
The 60s, but the Brits had the inspired idea of changing the rules for the roundabout. In other words, yield to enter, which
Exactly.
massively increases the efficiency of the roundabout.
So no
Then we
accident.
have the cat's eye reflector.
This thing.
Caterpillar tracks, which the Brits invented just before they invented the tank.
Oh.
So there's much more we could talk about in terms of transport technology, but we must move on
The Brits are smart.
to other industrial and technological stuff. Now, of course, Britain famously started the Industrial Revolution in the 18th and 19th century, and it's debated why it started in the United Kingdom, but clearly there was something special going on that made that spark. And of course, it started in the textile and agricultural industry. In the textiles, they invented the flying shuttle, powered looms, the spinning mill for making threads. In fact, if you didn't have the Brits, you don't have the very fine modern clothing which we have now, which is also incredibly cheap compared with what it used to be.
That's
In the
true.
agricultural industries, there are all sorts of
Mills.
mechanical devices like the mechanical seed drill, the haymaking threshing machine, but also really important things like phosphate fertilizer production, selective breeding. But that's just the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. If you're going to have an Industrial Revolution, you need a big build buildings. And so the British gave us Portland cement, a revolutionary type of cement. Where would we be without it? Then we have things like steel boring machines, which led to the steel, the modern lathe, which is ubiquitous in metal cutting. Hyper-accurate machines for measuring things, the micrometer, for instance. You cannot have modern engineering unless you have hyperfine methods for measuring things. We have stainless steel, the production of polyethylene, very famous plastic used in just about everything. The steel hammer for forging steel and making it much stronger. The Bessemer steel process, the first mass production of steel effectively, and then the mass production of glass using the now ubiquitous virtually tin flotation method. All right, let's go a little bit electrical.
Wow.
The way you stop to think about it, they invent everything,
Wow,
boy.
that was a lot. Yeah.
It seems like they invent everything you can think of.
Yeah.
So if they didn't invent it, where would we be?
Girl, I don't know.
Nowhere. They're smart. The more I listen and the more I learn about the Brits, it's like about their history. It's like, man, they were more on the side of enrichment, like knowledge. Just think about it. It's like, okay, and one other thing I want to point out before we go on. You ever notice their inventions? It's not cheaply made.
No, that's a lot of labor and expensive.
And they put time. It's not flip flop. It's like they put time to make sure. Okay, we're going to make this. We're going to make properly.
Yeah.
I always look at that. It just it's like, okay, we're not cutting corners. We're going to do it right. So how many trials we have to do to get this right? We're going to get it right. Exactly. It's not cheap and cutting corners. I really appreciate that about them. And that's something that I've been noticing with all the videos when I'm checking out the history of the Brits, to be honest. And I really do appreciate it. I mean, I'm going to repeat myself again. Let's continue.
So the first long-distance communication cables were invented by the Brits, the coaxial cable. This was used for underwater cables to link the UK to America and other places.
The
first intercontinental communication, the birth of the internet in a sense. It was the first time that we could communicate all around the world. The telephone, Alexander Graham Bell was a Scotsman. Television, liquid crystal, cavity magnetron. You've never heard of the cavity? It's in your microwave, but probably more importantly, the first radars, to a large extent, used the cavity magnetron, which was a revolution. Then,
I was like, how am I supposed to hear about that?
Yeah, I'm like, what is cavity? What you just said? Yeah, I'm like, what is that?
In my microwave. That's all I need to know.
And I was like, okay, that's all I need to know. My microwave. Thank you.
But the phones, television. I did not know these stuffs. This stuff I did not know. The Scots invented television. Yes, baby. That's where the Scots invented television. And I'm like, dang it. Yeah. So the luxury that we enjoy today,
Yes.
we have to give thanks for. You understand? We got to bypass the bad and look at what was given, what was left behind for the enrichment of our lives, pretty much.
If we go a little bit medical, we've got CAT scanners, ultrasound scanners, the first town to have chlorinated water. How about the first electronic programmable computer to crack German codes in the Second World War?
I remember that one.
Accurate navigation using highly accurate clocks, the chronometers, and the first workable atomic clock. Then we have the World Wide Web, a gas stove, tin cans, and a really big one. I know you've been wondering where I get to this one. An alarm clock that makes tea.
You guys still love your tea.
Listen, I wanted to see your reaction to that. An alarm clock that actually makes tea. Who does that?
Every hour, every 30 minutes. What flavors you got?
No, seriously. What an invention. You wake up.
Tea's ready. Fresh and hot.
No, seriously, Sin. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy. Someone actually thought to invent this. That is like, wow. I never thought of that.
This is a shocker right here. An alarm clock that makes tea. Tea.
Wow.
I would love to own something like this. Just to...
Especially back home. Because, you know, I don't care how hot it is. In Africa or Jamaica, you'll still have your tea.
You're having your tea, brother. It don't matter how outside hot.
Yes.
And that's not even it. If your tummy hurting, drink a cup of tea.
Yeah.
Your back hurting, tea. Not feeling well, tea. I'm like, we got that from the Brits and it has not gone anywhere.
And it makes no sense. It's hot and you're having tea. And that makes even hotter. It makes no sense.
Listen to me. I will never understand it, but we'll take it. Love it. All right, guys. Let's continue because the inventions, I didn't see this coming. Like, seriously, we didn't see this one.
Again, I could have added many, many more things, but let's go on to fundamental science, the stuff that all other science and technology actually depends upon. But before we do that, maybe just like and subscribe.
Okay, guys.
How about
please like
the discovery of the proton, neutron, and electron, the three building blocks of, well, frankly, just about everything.
Yeah.
All discovered by Brits. And the Brits also discovered the opposite of matter, which is antimatter, by Paul Dirac. And more recently, the last particle in the standard physics model of just about everything, the Higgs boson, which was proposed by Peter Biggs. Now let's go a little bit bigger, but not a great deal bigger. The atom, the model of the atom with a hard nucleus with the electrons flying around, was essentially discovered by the British. And I'm being a little bit loose there because there is a famous New Zealander involved with this. But frankly, in those days, Kiwis were basically Brits. What about biology? Well, in my view, the two biggest advances in biology were both discovered by Brits. The first one is Charles Darwin's theory of evolution.
I remember that one.
And then you have the discovery of the structure of DNA at Cambridge University. Fundamental molecular biology of which the whole DNA revolution has been based on. And yes, I know Watson was an American and Wilkins was a Kiwi. Anyway, of course, the discovery of the structure meant this explosion in growth of the whole DNA industry, effectively, such as DNA fingerprinting, now invented by the Brits.
So it's a break.
Let's go back to more basic, very fundamental, and possibly more important medicine. We have antiseptics, antibiotics, vaccines, all three invented by Brits. But let's go back to physics now. So we have Newton's laws of motion, Newton's laws of gravity.
If I remember that one.
Where would we be without Sir Isaac Newton? We essentially couldn't predict anything.
It's not the apple from the tree.
Back onto the physics, the laws of optics and the way that radio waves travel, light, the laws of electromagnetic propagation in signals and wires, Scotsman James Clerk Maxwell's. You don't have any mobile phones or computers or communication cables
Wow.
without Maxwell. And then we have electromagnetic induction from Michael Faraday's. If you don't understand magnetic induction, there are no electric motors, there's no electric generators. Basically, the whole backbone of the electricity system,
Would not exist.
you owe it to the Brits.
So when you stop to think about it, to check my baby ultrasound machine,
Brits.
to watch TV,
Brits.
on my phone,
Brits.
antibiotics,
Brits. Wow.
the car and the bicycle where we're running out of door. You understand me? Like chlorinated water. Just
About everything we do for to live, but basically,
it's invented by
the Brits.
Or in mathematics, and there are a lot here, so I'm going to pick the really big one, which is the invention of calculus. Yes.
Let me talk.
There was another guy called Leibniz who
I don't
also
like
invented it at the same time, but essentially Newtonian calculus is...
I took calculus.
I didn't see that coming from you.
Like, oh, so you said the guy.
Come here, let's have a word together.
Why?
That is funny. That's funny,
Oh my
Sid.
goodness.
That's funny. What you saying? Let's have a word.
Yeah. I took in college. My teacher, he was nice, but man, it's not for the weak. Calculus
I always
is not
hear
for the
people
weak.
complain about calculus. You know?
It's
That's
not for the
one
weak.
thing I always hear people complain
It's
about.
not for the weak.
Calculus. It's. I haven't done calculus. I'm a
hard.
math fanatic, but I've never done calculus. Crazy enough. Maybe if I do it, I won't love math the way I've been loving it all these years. So I'm gonna see what it is eventually.
Is at the basis of a huge amount of advanced science of engineering. It's as fundamental as algebra and arithmetic.
Yeah.
Now, this list is not complete.
I think.
There are literally a zillion other things that the Brits have contributed to. Actually, there is just one more.
What is that?
The Flushing loo.
What's the Flushing Blue?
Now,
Such a bougie name, the Flushing Blue flag. What is that?
A toilet, girl. It's a loo. They call it the loo.
The loo, the Flushing Blue. That is so bougie. I'm like, restroom. They don't say trash. They say rubbish or something. Like it's not like what the words
Okay,
that we
we're
use.
going to look into a video like that.
Yeah,
with
we
different
have to. Words,
like,
American.
listen.
About the Flushing
But
Blue.
yeah,
Did you use the Flushing Blue? Like what? It's not so eloquent. That's the thing. It's so eloquent.
that
You
is
sound so much like smarter when you say it.
Do you need to lose a loo?
Yeah.
That is funny.
It sounds
That
so
is funny.
eloquent.
You see how you have me over here cracking up? I'm sorry, guys. Blame it on her. Cause
We hope we made you smile too.
yeah, the
Yeah.
loo. It's the toilet they're talking about. All right, let's continue. But it's a shocker right there. You didn't even know that they invented that, did you?
No, I did not know.
Let's continue.
obviously, much of what those British scientists did was based on other scientists from lots of other
Yeah.
countries, and the Brits were just part of this magnificent thing which we call Western civilization. Of course, there were French and there were Germans, and the scientific development and advancement then spread to the United States and now to the Far East.
Yeah,
But the
everybody-
contribution of the Brits
Mhm.
were utterly fundamental on so many levels.
yeah.
Now, without those advancements, our lives would be short, harsh, and frankly, just bloody horrible.
It
The
was.
world's population would still be about 1 billion, which is what it was in about 1800, rather than the roughly 8 billion that it is today without that wonderful science and technology. Now, if you add up all the bad things that the Brits may have done, you know,
This
the Enritza massacre, the Bengal famine, and
Mm.
all the other bad things that happened, albeit only occasionally considering the attitudes of the times. But even if you add all those up, it's not a drop in the bucket compared with what has been achieved and the lives that have saved. How many lives, how many babies, children was saved by antibiotics,
Mhm.
antiseptics, clean water, or the uses of electricity, communications, and transport. Famines are effectively a thing of the past because, well, for one reason, we can ship food around from one place to another very, very easily. Now, look, it turns out that I was born in England, and even though I'm an Aussie, so I am biased. But I don't think it makes sense to be proud of what your ancestors did or were unless there's some evidence that you carry on those ideas, values, and traditions.
True.
But even if you don't measure up to those ancestors or other people's ancestors, it's just bad form not to appreciate what those people did for us.
I agree.
The contribution of the Brits was truly incredible, and we should all be grateful that they came along and did more than virtually any other group to pull humanity out of the appalling, difficult lives that existed before the 1800s. So, do you think the ledger for those bastard Brits, is it positive or negative?
Positive.
What do you say, Sin?
Positive.
You say positive, don't it?
How about you?
What do you think?
Positive.
Man, wanna do everything, baby. I'm with you guys for that. It's interesting, like I said, to stop and think and look, and I'm like, man, what have the Brits really done? You wanna come closer to me, or you wanna come forward? Come beside the
come
gal.
forward. Oh, yeah,
come
that's better.
Come beside the gal. Come we chat to the people. Yeah, come, guys. I ain't gonna lie. A lot of the inventions, like I said, I did not know when I did this video, and I wanted to show it to Sin because, like I said, she was on vacation. So now that she's seeing it, and she's surprised, and we have.
I'm not over the flush and glue.
But when you stop to think about it, you can't say you can't just. Every country have a good and it's
Yeah.
bad. You understand me?
Yeah.
We've all been there. The 1800s. When you stop to look at the 1800s and now, for the vast improvement in everything that's present in your life right now, you have to give due. And like you said, it's like a drop in the bucket. Not saying whatever happened in the past is right. You gotta get that clear. It's not, but we don't want to go back to that stage. And our lives has been improved because of all these inventions done by the Brits. I'm chatting too much, so I'm going to give her the floor.
No, I agree with everything you said. I've learned so much about Britain's history because growing up in America, of course, we focus on other countries, history, but it's mostly about America, what America has done, which makes sense. But I'm learning as I'm watching these videos, and it's been a great opportunity to learn about what Britain has invented, and it's amazing. That's a lot. That's a lot of inventions. That is a lot of things that everyone hasn't been affected by that in good ways, like cell phones, flushing glue, clean water. I know the glue, calculus, even all these different things that help every single country out there. That's really impressive. It's a lot.
It's a lot to take in, and I know the list is much longer than that.
Exactly.
But
even said himself.
Yeah, but I'm like, you have to show appreciation to the Brits for what they have contributed to this world, the world in itself. The world wouldn't be where it is if it wasn't for their input, pretty much. So my hats to you guys. With that said, go in the comment section. Tell me what you'd like us to react to next. Give this video a big
thumbs up, subscribe, and comment.
Listen, we will definitely catch you guys in another video. And with that, we're
out.